Okay.
And it's saying starting, so we'll let it start.
In 5. Never mind.
All right.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we'll give you a good and proper introduction. I will send you the, I think I sent this to you the first time, but it's been a couple of years. But basically, it's a form that, give me all your social media, all the links, all the things. We post all of that, shamelessly plug you. We no longer have a 3-hour show, so you might get like the whole second half of the show because we do 2 hours now.
Great. Yeah.
Or we might split it up. We talk about a lot of things because that would be fun. So give me a week to mix it and all that, and we will shamelessly plug you and advertise you and do all the things. And then, of course, I'm a little camera shy, but we might do both the video version and then just the audio that goes with iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the places. And I may or may not toss the video up on YouTube. I'm a little chicken when it comes to cameras, but we'll see. You've got a face for camera, so he's got a face for radio. Anyway, so I might scooch over a little bit so they can look at you. All right.
Hi, look at me.
Okay, so big introduction. I'll let you tell me all the stuff that you want to tell me.
All right.
And we will give a warm counterculture-wise welcome to Mr. Tony Arias. Woo! In fabulous Las Vegas, in case you couldn't tell just by looking at him.
Yes.
And before we get started, Tony, I mean, you're a dear friend of ours from our days in Vegas, and we have seen your show on a couple of occasions.
Yeah,
you're
a couple of different shows, and amazing.
Yeah,
you're like probably the last of a dying breed in the Vegas entertainment world.
Yeah,
it's like,
you're like a real Vegas entertainer.
Yeah, there's not many of you left.
So before we begin, I want to give you a chance to tell our listeners and hopefully viewers all the things. Where can they find you? What is your upcoming show? Because that's why we're talking to you.
Right.
Where can they find tickets? And are you going to be touring, or are you staying in Vegas?
I usually stay in Las Vegas. I also do cruise ships, but
oh, fun!
And that's fun. I thoroughly enjoy that. But things of the momentum here in Las Vegas since we've opened back up has just been wonderful and fantastic.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah.
And so I've been more busy here than I have been out on the ship. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think that if we've learned anything, is that human connection is very important. And so I think that's why the momentum for the shows and for the appearances, and I'm having a great time, and I'm really kind of surprised that people aren't tired of me yet.
No.
I really am.
You've got way too much personality for that. Yeah. Way too much.
I have no idea, but it amazes me that they're not tired of me yet. I do consider myself, and I'm thank you for bringing it up, that I'm one of the last people to do what Vegas used to do.
I just got bit on the toe by a cat. Sorry.
Oh.
If you're wondering what that was about.
I hope it's your cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them.
There's this great series of memes, and the tagline is I don't even own a cat. And there's pictures. There's one it says, so I came home to this, and it's a picture of an alligator and a Siamese cat in a bathtub, and it says, and I don't even own a cat.
Weird.
So yeah, it's our cat. He's actually the star of the show typically, but he does not like to share the ottoman. So I made the mistake of putting my feet up on my footrest, and was told in no uncertain terms that was not allowed. So sorry about that.
No.
All right, so. Momentum going in Vegas. That is wonderful.
I'm very happy to hear that for you and my other Vegas entertainer friends.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes, I mean, just really picked up very strongly, and we couldn't be happier. And I'm very grateful and very thankful. And I think that, as I said before, I think that human contact is and connection is extremely
so important.
Yeah.
So we're getting to that point, and so I love it, and I love the fact that vintage Vegas connection and flavor is coming back. And
yes.
It's not coming back in a fake way. It's coming back organically.
Right.
And I love that. I think they tried to push that 10 or 12, maybe 15 years ago, and it just didn't work. And there's just a more appreciation for it, whether it be my generation or the generation before or the generation after. There just seems to be or appreciation for it. And so
I think people are really hungering for the more wholesome side of entertainment. And when things were just fun and everything wasn't about politics and your side versus my side, when we could just go be entertained and we could talk about things like love and breakups and, you know, things like that. And it wasn't just your politics or who you voted for or whatever. And it's like, I think we really missed that. And the human connection, like you were saying, when we went to a local church here, when we started looking for a church, the first time somebody hugged me, I almost burst into tears. It's like, I just missed that so much.
Yes, exactly. And that's how I feel every time I walk on stage now, is that, that the hugs, and they feel it too. And the response and the feedback I get is exactly the same over and over and over again, and that they've missed that human connection. And by going to the old, maybe 10 years ago, when we would see shows on the Las Vegas Strip of pyrotechnics and lasers and smoke, and which is wonderful, and it is entertaining. But we missed and we left out the human connection. And so I think the reason I'm performing more is just because I don't do politics. I don't do anything but entertainment. And I bring silliness and love and entertainment to the stage, and that's it. I think that's all people
At the risk of sounding like I'm kissing up, when you do come on stage, it can actually feel the love radiating to the audience and it being returned to you. There's actually very few performers. I mean, Bob Seger, I saw him at a huge arena in Portland, Oregon, and it just radiated love. That's something you don't typically get in a situation where it's that large of a venue. But, you know, you and a handful of other entertainers, I guess Tony Bennett would be another one. I've never seen him in concert in person. So, but it just seemed that he radiated love and it was sent back to him.
Well, it's kind of like that old thing with customer service where they would tell you always smile when you pick up the phone because people can hear your smile. And that has a lot to do with, you know, when you come in, you own the stage, and you're not just there because, oh, hey, I'm Tony, you know, pay attention to me. You come out there and you are just like, I'm loving this. You know, you guys are great, you know, and you don't just say that, you know, like, hey, tip your waitress. You really felt that connection. Yeah.
Right. So. Exactly. Well, for me, it's having a conversation with the audience. And I also believe that when I take the stage, it's about entertaining the audience. It's if it was for me and my ego, then it's a show for one. And,
exactly.
You know, I can sit in front of a mirror and do that.
Hey, there are a lot of people out there that would be okay with that.
Right. But I think that I want the audience to know that look, they made time for me. They made time to come out here and see me, and my God, I'm just so grateful and thankful that you guys keep coming. I never ever take advantage or take it for granted. We're gonna buy tickets, or we're gonna sell out, or we're gonna have people there. I never take that for granted. I have no idea when that roller coaster is gonna stop or when they're gonna stop coming. So I'm very grateful when they're there. It's all about them, and let's just have a great time and enjoy.
And that makes every show different for you too. I mean, if it was the same thing over and over, that's one of the problems I had when I was speaking to really big crowds is you couldn't see them. And it's, you know, I feel for comedians and musicians that when you're on like a huge, I couldn't do what Celine Dion does because you're on this huge stage and you cannot see anybody. And for me, I mean, I loved it when you would just talk to us and, you know, people would heckle you and you'd roll with it and you know, and then you tell your really bad jokes and we'd moan and then you'd make fun of us for moaning. And it's like, you know, it makes it different for you every time. So you're not just out there going through the ropes.
Right. Going through the motions. Exactly. As we say, putting it in or whatever. I just, I can't. I never have a script. I never have anything on my mind specifically what I'm going to say or what I want to say. It's really wherever the audience wants to go. And as long as they are enjoying the music, and then we can go wherever they want to go and take requests and so forth and stories. I love that. So
okay. Well, we got so excited about talking to you that you did not tell us all your social media accounts. Where can they find you online? And where can they get tickets to the show?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm not. I mean, I know how to do things on social media, but is about it. And you know, it's funny. A lot of people who follow me, they're either my age or older, and
they're not really. Yeah.
Exactly. So now,
well, for us young kids, where can we find you?
Young kids. Yeah.
I always ask people to start at my website because that kind of is the umbrella for everything else for me. And so
that's perfect. You know what? If it's a one place that somebody can go, is it TonyArias.com?
That's correct. Yeah.
TonyArias.com, and of course on counterculturewise.com we'll have all the links and all the things, including the headshot, possibly a little something from one of his shows if he wants to send us something. We'll put that up there too,
of course,
because we are completely shameless.
But yeah, one of those things that I think why it flows so well with you, you've been doing this a while, and you know, somebody could call, you know, they'll want to hear The Man Without Love by Englebert Humperdinck. Just to give you an example, you just turn to your amazing musical accompanist, Keith, and say, okay, let's do it. Boom, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, that
now,
kind
I
of thing.
haven't seen you take requests. I haven't seen the TikTok side of you. Does that
happen?
happen?
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. I love taking requests, even if
really.
But Mr. Keith Thompson, who does most of my smaller, intimate lounge shows, although he's conducted and also arranged my Broadway stage show.
Right.
And he's an amazing conductor. But Michael Dubé does most of my other theme shows, my show and 70s show and Vegas show and those type of things. But I'm with Keith Thompson. We'll go wherever the audience wants to go, and we'll take many requests. And plus, he knows everything. He also writes a ton of songs, and so they're all familiar with his repertoire, and so he gets a lot of requests for his own songs. But my favorite request story is a woman came to the front of the stage, and she was obviously had 2 or 3 glasses of Chardonnay.
My kind of gal.
And yes, having a wonderful time. And she said, please sing Time to Say Goodbye by Andrea Bocelli. Now, Andrea has, you know, this magnificent tenor voice, and I am not by no means. But I said, I don't know the song. And before I could say I don't know the song, Keith started playing the damn song. So I looked at him and I went, what are you doing? You know, I don't know this song. And it's all in Italian, other than that, you know, that little.
That's the one that goes, da, 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 da,
exactly.
Yeah, you can do it.
So she then put $100 bill into our little fishbowl to say thank you. And I thought, well, I can't, I have to do something now. Now I have to do something. Start playing it. And my response was, time to say goodbye. No. And I made up all of
it.
They're just vowels. That's all they are. They're vowels. They mean nothing.
And she probably had no idea. She probably thought you nailed it.
You know, stood at the foot of the stage crying. She mouthed every single word that I sang. Like she knew what I was singing, and she mouthed, you know, and she's just, oh my God, this is so beautiful, and she's crying and she's mouthing all the words, and you know, I'm just singing vowels.
You're just making it up. Oh, that's hilarious.
Other people who know the song kind of went, that's not how it goes. But I love that. Yes, I love taking requests, and I will make up the lyrics as I have to.
You know, I was just gonna say you are a better man than well, obviously than I, but better person than I. Because I would have been fettuccine, linguine, provolone.
No, they know that, but I thought, you know, I'm going to pull it over their eyes with just a little bit of subtleness. But
well, I can see where people would assume that you would know Italian, though. I mean, just looking at you and listening to you, you would just assume it, you know?
I remember one time we saw you at, it was, I think, Sam's Town. It was Sam's Town.
Yeah.
and somebody came up and wanted to just sing more from Mondo Cane, the theme.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't quite know the words, so she actually had a lyric sheet that she was holding up for you to sing that. I was like,
I came prepared.
Yeah. They'll do that a lot because they know that I'm not great with lyrics. And Keith Thompson will try to, if he knows the song and playing it, he'll try to mouth the lyrics or say them, shout them out to me. But I can't hear. I've got monitors up on stage blasting.
Right.
I can't really hear what he's saying. So I'm kind of improvising what the hell he's saying. So if he's saying mouthing words, and the biggest song that we get all the time is that song "Memory."
From Cats.
And so I don't. It's such a horrible song, and I know none of the lyrics to that song. But
I know like 3 words, like the line and the something of something.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I never know if it starts with midnight or moonlight or.
I don't think the word "memories" is even in there.
I think it's in the second verse.
I was beautiful then. Singing stuff, meow, 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 meow.
Yeah, exactly. But Keith told me the lyrics, and I'll try to grab them. But man, but you know what? They have more fun with me not knowing the lyrics than me actually knowing them. So
what is the name of your current show? So I just got a notification that you have a brand new show, and it's starting here soon, or you already started?
Yes. Oh, I don't know. It's going to start on September 10th. I'm very, very excited about it.
Excellent.
Okay.
It's a musical tribute to Elvis Presley and Englebert Humperdinck and Tom Jones, and I put them all into one show because I get a lot of requests for all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Why not put them all in one show? Now that's a very difficult thing to do because all 3 of them have a magnificent library of fantastic music.
Right.
So to try and put get the best of the best all into one show.
Like a 90-minute show.
So do you kind of do a Tom Viss Humper Jones mashup, or do you do just individual songs?
I do a Tom Jones medley. It's a very long medley, but I do a Tom Jones medley. I do an Englebert Humperdinck medley, and I took a few of Mr. Presley's songs and put just 2 of them together, just to kind of shorten the show because it was just getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
The songs are they're endless and they're fantastic.
Right.
And if you forget one, or if you don't do one, the audience says you didn't do Delilah. So
I had to do. You got to do the big hits.
And there's no way you can
and that especially becomes difficult with Elvis because he had he had such a huge catalog of albums. Just in a frankly relatively short period of time. Right. He's putting out 2 or 3 records a year, at least. When he
And then you have one person saying "Do Hound Dog," another person saying "Do I Believe," and somebody else is saying
"If I Can Dream."
There's so many different. He was so versatile. So.
But I mean, Tom and Ingy weren't exactly slouches either in that department. They were putting.
Ingy.
I think he actually went by Inga for a while, or Bert. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dink.
Yeah, he'll call himself Dink.
Okay, so what's the name of the show? A tribute?
The name of the show is called Tribute of the Century to Elvis, Englebert, and Tom. Thanks for everything, Tony Arias. And that's basically the crust of the title. It's hard to even put a title on this.
Yeah.
You're talking about 3 gentlemen who have sold over 3 billion records.
Right. Just can't wrap my mind around that. I really can't.
What is your venue in Vegas?
I'm back over at the Flamingo Library Theater on Flamingo Road.
That is a wonderful theater. I've been there so many times. Yeah, lots of parking, easy to get into and out of. And within walking distance of the Strip. What a great place to be.
Yeah, and that is a really good venue.
Yeah,
I have been there.
I was the second performer to open it up 30 years ago.
Really?
Yes, 30 years ago, I was the second performer.
Surprised they let a 19-year-old kid up on that stage.
I may. You know what? I was in my 20s. No, my 20s. But I love the venue. I do 4 shows there a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love it, and I love the people there. And some of the people I met there 30 years ago are still there working. And so I just love the venue. And so I'll have the Michael Dubé Orchestra. There's 8 pieces, and Michael Dubé will be conducting. And I'm very excited about it. It's a lot of fun, and it moves. I mean, it's not. It doesn't. It doesn't have a lot of low points, a lot of slow.
Right.
We move that show. We move it fast because when you're talking about a 90-minute show, I don't want people to get antsy, and I want to keep it going. But again, I'm afraid that someone's going to say, you missed this song, you missed that song, you missed that.
Well,
you know, you can't please everybody. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. And I mean, what a great thing that you always leave them wanting more, Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that.
I think the last time we saw you was with Michael Dubé.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was at another library in the.
Was it? No, I thought wasn't it on the Strip? I could have sworn it was on the
Might
Strip.
have been on. I thought it was. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know. So would you say that this show is geared toward locals or geared to people who want to have the Vegas experience?
Oh, I absolutely people that want to have the Vegas experience. Now, this is very much a Vegas thoughtful show in the sense of my recollection of the 3 gentlemen, other than I didn't get to see Mr. Presley perform in Las Vegas, but I did get to see Mr. Humperdinck and Mr. Jones perform in Vegas from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and today. So I was very fortunate, but in that regard. But it's very much the Vegas experience, but it's really about the music, and I don't change the music. I mean, the music stands alone because it's
right.
Timeless music. So it's me singing the songs. I don't impersonate them.
Right.
But all 4 of us, if you will, Mr. Presley and Mr. Humperdinck and Tom and myself, there's a certain timbre that are similar. It's not that I sound anything like them or proclaim to, but there is a certain timbre to our voices, and so it seems to work extremely well, and I think it brings a lot of great memories back to people who thoroughly enjoy their music. But it's a fast moving show. Even with green grass of home and A Man Without Love or
right.
We're still moving it, and I really enjoy doing it.
So this is such a cliche question, so bear with me or tell me, Jim, why are you asking me that? Let's take the 3 of them. Do you have a favorite song from each of these artists, or is it just you just like their entire catalog?
I love and grew up with their entire catalogs. My grandma was the biggest influence to me for music, and she had all of their albums and babysat me a lot, and she would play their albums constantly, and I was constantly singing along. Obviously, there's a special, and probably for everybody, there's a special place in everyone's heart and memory and Americana for Mr. Presley.
Of course,
there's that special. He's homegrown, as far as an America, and there's that special connection that all of us have.
Right.
So he very much was an inspiration. But I have to say, Mr. Humperdinck and Mr. Jones, and even Mr. Wayne Newton, which was the first performer I had ever watched on the Strip. 9 years old, and I saw him at the Frontier, and see him. So actually, it was really the 4 of them that really inspired me to be a Las Vegas entertainer. And that's all I ever wanted to be. I never wanted to go to New York or go to LA or singer or movie star or record albums. That was never into my focus. My focus was just about being a Las Vegas entertainer.
Well, you certainly managed that.
I was going to ask you about that. So you don't do recordings. We couldn't go online and find your albums. So we have to experience you live, or we don't get you at all. All right.
You know what? One thing that really impresses me about Tom Jones, a few years ago, he put out an album of sacred songs, and the guy is he's in his 80s, 90s, still sounds as amazing as he did when he had his TV show. I mean, I find that amazing.
His voice has absolutely held up. I believe he's 83 or 84 right now.
Yeah.
Humperdinck, I believe, turned 85. and they're both still touring.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing. The voices have held up because they never stopped touring. They never stopped singing. They never
Right.
stopped working. And the voice is a muscle. The larynx,
Right.
and the more you use it, the more it's going to be there for you. So I try and stay on top of that. Like the treadmill, that evades me. I don't do that today either. So
Yeah.
but yes,
Yeah, with 2 years of lockdowns, it's like we were all hanging clothes on our vocal cords. So
right, exactly. So true, so true. I kept saying every morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to sing, and I'm going to even sing while I'm on the treadmill because that helps me with my breath control.
Right.
If I'm walking, I'm singing, it really does help me, but that didn't happen as much as I.
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that. I had an alarm on my phone that would say walkies at 1 o'clock, and I think the most exercise I got was pushing the button to turn off the alarm. Yeah, got to get a dog, or you're not going to get any exercise anymore.
Right.
Well, we certainly are getting it now.
Yeah, we got a puppy.
Yeah.
Oh, you. Yeah. Well, that'll increase your activity.
Yeah. We didn't mean to. We kind of rescued her, but yeah, we got a puppy. So.
Oh, bless you.
No.
That's wonderful.
Lots of energy, like you. Lots of energy.
Yeah. You seem like you have boundless energy when you get on stage, and so what are some of your inspirations to just go out there and do show after show, night after night?
It's the music, and also I can feel the energy from the audience. And it's not because they're waiting for me, it's because they're waiting for something. Even if I'm a ship or people that come to see me who are not familiar with me, I can't rely on their energy or their anticipation for me to walk on stage because they haven't experienced me. But audience, every single audience has a sense of energy of anticipation. What's about to experience? What's about to happen? Why am I here to waste my time? Why did I spend my money? Why am I, there's, and subconsciously, I'm not saying people sit there and have a conversation with themselves. But subconsciously, that's what's taking place. And I was told many years ago from a wonderful show business seasoned performer. They said, you've got to be really careful, Tony. If you think it's fun to dress up and be all sparkly and put on rhinestones and so forth and walk on stage, but understand the moment you walk on stage, the audience already has an expectation of you. If you look like $1 million, subconsciously they're going to expect you to put on $1 million show performance. And you as an audience member, and I find myself doing this. If somebody walks on stage and the person looks like a schlub, then you kind of just sit back in your chair and just kind of sit there and go.
Well, there's a reason Neil Diamond wears those outfits.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Elvis. That's why Elvis sequined up.
It's Neil Diamond. He could literally walk out there and shorts and a vest and be done with it because he is Neil Diamond. But if there's somebody that you don't know and they're walking out on stage and look like a schlub, all you do is kind of sit back in your chair and go, when's this going to be over?
That's true.
Now, if somebody walks on stage and you go, wow, all of a sudden you kind of perk up and you go, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
What are we in for? So I always tell people, look, I know that I've set myself up in the moment I walk on stage with my outfits that they're going to experience something. They don't know what, but so my inspiration and my excitement comes from the audience and the music. And once the music gets going, it's done. It just happened. And I don't remember. I don't remember 90% of the show when I walk on the stage. I really.
So it comes to you. It becomes a flow. Well, Tony, when we first were talking before we started recording, you are such a great storyteller, and sometimes you'll stop in the middle of a song to tell us a story. And usually it's something that makes us laugh. And you said you had a story. So I was complimenting you on your beautiful teal house and everything. Oh. And you said you had a story to share with us, a recent story.
Yes, our home is it's a unique home. It was built and designed by the gentleman who designed Cleopatra's barge at Caesar's Palace.
Oh wow! Okay.
So when we bought the house 20 years ago, some of the original neighbors were still in the neighborhood, and they said that the house was covered in gold and black emblem Caesar's carpeting.
Mm-hmm.
There were columns throughout the house and so forth. Really, I thought it was very, very cool, and I wish some of that was still here. But the house then was bought by a gentleman who was a lawyer for the Los Angeles Lakers Association in the early 70s. The house was built in 71, and he owned the house, and the house became a retreat and party house for the Lakers to come out to Las Vegas, because back in the days we didn't have the Palms, and people weren't catering to the big celebrities to come out here and party.
Right.
So this excuse me. So the house had many basketball courts on the property. It's only about many actually, it did. We're on, I think, 3/4 of an acre here, and so I had several basketball courts.
Oh, that's hilarious! Multiple basketball courts.
I know. The lawyer gentleman for the Lakers then turned around as a write-off, gave the house to a nonprofit for troubled teens. And when the teens started tearing up the neighborhood, the neighbors.
Are you telling me the troubled teens were more trouble than the Lakers were?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought, right? The neighbors banded together and said, "You've got to take the house back because we can't handle all these kids terrorizing the neighborhood." Now we're surrounded by the city. We're on horse property, and we don't have sidewalks. We don't have street lights, and we're on tanks. And we just recently got off a well, so we're kind of in the country here in the middle of Las Vegas.
Oh, I know exactly where you are. I had students out there, and it is amazing out there.
Is.
It's very beautiful.
World. It really is.
And each house is so unique.
Yes,
it's completely different from the next one.
Exactly. We are not a tract home neighborhood. But a Hawaiian lady, bought the house, and she raised her 9 children in this house. She played in an all-female Hawaiian band down at the California Club for 30 years.
Wow.
When we purchased the house from her, she said, "Please keep up the tradition of music and parties and so forth in the house."
And you're like, done and done.
Exactly. That's exactly.
God, I love Vegas. That's great.
We bought the house because it made us laugh. That's probably not a great reason to buy a house, but
I married him because he made me laugh. So
yeah,
perfect.
Well, we did. We bought, and the house is 7,500 square feet. It's an awfully
good size.
It's got 8 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms and two full kitchens, one downstairs and one upstairs.
What I'm hearing is next time we visit Vegas, we have a place to stay.
That's what everybody says. Yes. But it's a unique house. It has its own fireplace and a fire pit. So we do a lot of marshmallows and hot dogs in the winter, and we just.
What did you call that fire pit behind you? You called it something.
Well, we called it our pepper mill. The fire pit, because the pepper mill's famous for their fire pit.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've updated the house quite a bit. The house was built in 71, and it kind of stayed there when we finally bought the house. But we've overdone most of it, and but it's like the Golden Gate Bridge. A house this size, once you finish something, you got to
start over. Yeah.
Start all over again. So, but we have a good time. We entertain a lot, and we even do little concerts here in our rumpus room where we'll bring 50 or 60 people, and we have a piano, and we do little concerts here for upcoming performers, and so we have a good time. We really enjoy it. We take it to its fullest.
So is that where you kind of get your test audience as you're putting together a new show? Do you bring people in to kind of do A/B testing, or do you just run with what your gut's telling you?
I always run with whatever we're doing. I've always said that I'm one of the laziest singers. I don't prepare. I rarely rehearse. I like to know the songs. I like to know the arrangements. But after that, whatever happens. I as we said before, I like things to happen organically. And so I love it when somebody says, "What's my cue for this?" or "What's my cue for that?" And I go, "I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out on stage." I'd rather
just be on tune. That's all I care about.
That's
you know?
right.
There's a certain amount of improvisation
key, it could be a
going
harmony,
on.
just as long as we're together somewhere.
Exactly. So it's just the way I like to keep it. I think if I keep things too rigid, then it becomes too easy to phone everything in. It becomes too, go through the motions and do your lines and wait.
There are artists out there that would absolutely drive them insane. They would hate that.
Absolutely, and I've worked with many of them, and they go, "Well, what are we gonna?" I understand, but that's why the core of the musicians that I work with, who are brilliant, and I adore them, and I love them, and they're my family.
They're great.
They understand. We understand each other, and so it's so they're always there for me, and we have a great time, and I love celebrating them and their talent on the stage. I can't take away from that because I can't do what they do. So they're I can't go on stage without them. I could just sit there and hang at BS for an hour, I suppose. But
Juggle.
it wouldn't be as sure.
Yeah. If you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would you collaborate with?
Wow. It's interesting. I've never been asked that question. I really don't know. I've been asked who would I enjoy meeting or who would I enjoy seeing on stage. And my answer had always been Mr. Presley to the great opportunity to do that. But as far as collaboration, I'm not a great collaborator. I really am not. I mean, it's not that I'm not. It's not that I'm not willing, and it's not that I'm ego driven that I can't work with people. Because I work with no script and I don't work with a very solid foundation. That I don't enjoy a lot of collaboration. I really don't. If I sing a duet with somebody, that's about as far as I want to go. And I go, that was wonderful. I love that. That was fun. It was creative. It was enough collaboration. And I don't. But if it's
now get off my stage.
Exactly. Right. Let me get out of here. Exactly.
And now back to me.
Exactly.
So, because I envision a show where you got somebody up who had similar taste and talent, and you would do kind of like a Dueling Pianos, only singers, where we kind of do that together. We'll bring up a video, and that'll feed us to the next video, and then we'll try to surprise each other with the video we come up with. And sometimes we'll go way back to old concerts, and sometimes it'll be like a brand new video, or it'll be an old 80s video or whatever. And we'll kind of riff off of that. And I would love to see something like that where, and I guess you kind of do that with the audience in a way.
Yes.
I mean, you say you're not a collaborator, but if you're sitting there literally reading the lyrics because that somebody brought you, or they're feeding dimes into your ears like a jukebox and making you do songs, I guess in a way that is kind of a collaboration because you're having to feed off of what they're doing. But it would be kind of fun to just kind of have that banter going on. What was the other one? Tony Cinta?
Yeah.
Imagine you two getting up there and just like seeing who could come up with the most obscure legendary
it's
song.
It's actually Frankie.
Is it sorry, why did because Tony? Frankie. So I was just wondering if you've ever thought about collaborating with anybody.
No, I haven't. I mean, I get asked quite often, and I'm very very surprised and grateful that someone asks me to sing a solo with them or share the stage with them, and I'll do that all day long. But as far as let's put a show together or let's do this, that's where I'm too lazy. And
you're never going to take your made up Bocelli and do the 4 tenor thing,
right?
with 3 other guys that are making it up.
Yeah, right. I'm never going to find that.
I could just hear you guys up there, meatbally, excusey.
No, which is why I never recorded an album. it's a lot of work. It's a lot of organization. It's a lot of work. Very
Mhm.
And the album I would want to produce is something that I would want it to be not something done on my computer and then start making a bunch of copies of CDs. It's not. It's
Right.
go into a major studio and have somebody who's a great engineer and, and again collaborating and arrangers and conductors and so musicians. It's a lot of work, and I just
And that would take away some of the energy because the essence of who you are and what you do is in being present.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a big difference between seeing Elvis on stage and, listening to Elvis. He's still amazing.
Sure, absolutely.
But there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
We experienced that with Three Dog Night. We both love Three Dog Night. We've seen about 3 different entities of them, but the energy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard the harmonies 1,000 times, but when they bust out in those harmonies live, you're just like, whoa.
Yes, exactly.
It's not the same.
It's all, and I think you said it before. It's all about being present. It's all about being in the moment. And for me, that's the biggest high I can ever receive is being in that moment at that time with that audience. It's never going to happen again. Something similar may happen,
Right.
but it's never going to happen again. And so I like to be present. I like to be in the moment. And I think that's why I don't remember 90% of the show when I walk on stage. People say, remember when you said, and I go, I don't. And if I did say that, that's hilarious. But I don't remember,
Yeah.
I have no idea. But it was also another reason I didn't do well in Las Vegas as a production show person. I as an entertainer, I could never go into the production shows and them say learn this song and be verbatim. It's got to be this.
Everything's got to be exactly on
Yeah.
cue. You've got to have the lighting dude with his finger on the button. Yeah.
That's right, and I understand why it needs to. I fully understand that. Otherwise, you have absolute chaos. But that wasn't where my mind just wouldn't go there. So once I was hired as a specialty act, and then I could sing and I could go out into the audience and have fun with them and ask questions and blah blah blah. Then it all seemed to click. It all seemed to work, and that didn't go well. But
you found your niche. You plugged yourself in. You're like, this is where I fit. This is and that's great. There's a lot of artists out there that are still kind of searching and doing all. I mean, even the Beatles did that. It's like they searched for themselves for so long. We got really great stuff out of them.
Yeah.
You just plugged right on in. You figured out exactly who you were right from the onset. Okay, we always tell our guests that we're not going to ask them a gotcha question, but I've got a gotcha question for you. Ready?
Yes.
Who is the biggest star that has ever come to see your show?
The biggest star who's ever, I would say it was a toss-up between Celine Dion and Lee Majors.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, those are like really different. What an honor to have Celine come and see you. Did you get to talk to her?
I did. Well, Celine used to, before she opened up at Caesars in the Coliseum, I was doing a show at Caesars in the Empire show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like the opening act, and then there was a main act that I would bring on, and so I would do like 20 or 30 minutes. And her husband at the time, Renee, who is no longer with us, they would come frequently and bring their families to the show. It was a dinner show, and they waited. And then I was asked to perform at their wedding at Caesar's Palace. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad I asked this question. I just learned something new about you.
Yes. So that was exciting, extremely exciting, and had a lot of fun. And everybody who that you can even imagine was at the wedding. It was just a cavalcade of celebrities and stars.
Now, see, if I were asked by Celine Dion to perform at her wedding, I would have that tattooed right about here. You've never mentioned that before. Wow.
Yeah. No,
What a humble guy. What a humble guy.
Yeah. Well, unless there's a reason to drop a name, I just don't. Unless there's a funny story.
Right. Sure.
And then Mr. Lee Majors, who
is he as funny in real life as he seems on film? He
was very, very fun and so charming and so nice. And he was a childhood hero of mine.
Yeah.
He brought his family to see the show. Again, I was performing at Caesars, and the stage managers knew that I was a huge fan. And I normally don't get starstruck. I just don't. But they said Lee Majors is in the front row, and I made them hold the show 10 minutes so I could put myself together, because I couldn't believe that my childhood hero was out.
That's adorable.
And
That's adorable.
after the show, he asked if he could meet me. And so I came out and I sat with him and his family for about 2 hours. And as I sat right next to him, I never once looked at him because I was so nervous and I've met presidents and I've met a lot of people in this business, but I've never been so, but again, he meant so much to me as a kid, and but he came back several times to see me at Caesars, and would call me up at home and say, I'm coming in, blah, blah, you want to meet for a drink or something, and
That's so cool.
It's still even to this day talking about it, so I get nervous about it, but yeah, so I would say that those were the two biggest. But I've ran into I've met Mr. Sinatra very briefly.
Nuh-uh. Okay, you've got to tell me about that.
I did. It was Phyllis McGuire used to have these big, huge Las Vegas parties at her house, and she also belonged to an association foundation that was called Society of Singers. And they would take up-and-coming singers, young singers, and they would give them scholarships and help them with their careers.
Cool.
And Mr. Sinatra was also was part of this, and on the board of directors. He was not the chairman of the board.
Oh, he'll always be.
Exactly. Yes, you and me
Everybody
both.
thought he was, but
I was sponsored by somebody, and I was asked to sing at Phyllis McGuire's party, and everybody was there. Again, this was in the mid 80s, and everybody was there. And as I was walking with my sponsor up the driveway to Mr. McGuire's magnificent home, 17,000 square foot home, or 23,000 square foot, just amazing. Mr. Sinatra was walking out with his entourage, and they briefly stopped. I was introduced very quickly. He said, "Good luck in there, knock him dead," and that was the first and last time I had met him. And he was very charming, but he was very much in a hurry. Yeah. But it was a pleasure. I mean, as I was 18, I think I was at the time, to meet him was just a.
So with the blessing of Mr. Sinatra, did you kill it?
I like to think so, but I did not get the scholarship. I was a very young young lady got the scholarship. She had an incredible voice. She had obviously been bred and raised and trained to be what she was supposed to be, and she was stunning, and she got the scholarship, and rightly so. She was absolutely amazing. But everybody was there. It was just crazy.
Those of us who are competitive, we don't have a problem losing if we lose to someone good.
Yeah, exactly. It's not political. It's not, and it wasn't. I mean, these were people that took this business very seriously. And if you got Phyllis McGuire and you got people like Frank Sinatra on the board, they took this type of stuff very, very seriously. And so it was amazing. But I didn't have no hard feelings or anything. She was fantastic, and I was still so young. I mean, she was too. Now that I remember, I think she was 16, but God, she looked like 20.
Just a baby, yeah.
But she had an amazing. But again, you could tell this was somebody that had been almost put through the Hollywood machine. She was just primed for it, and I was 18 and just knew nothing, and was just trying to find my feet. And so.
But do you remember her name?
I don't. People ask me that. I don't remember her name. Yeah.
And look at you now. Everybody knows your name.
Well, she's probably not as much of a clown as I am, but
you don't know that.
Yeah. But I've had a lot of fun meeting people, and I never really worked with anybody extremely famous. I've met a lot of people that were famous, but not really worked with anybody. But I enjoy it. I met Mr. Sammy Davis Jr. and
Now that's one of my heroes. Oh, I love Sammy.
Yeah, mine too. And the rap.
He could do anything.
Absolutely anything. Mr. Davis was. I'm very good friends with his former pianist who lives here in Las Vegas, and get to rehash some wonderful stories and memories and so forth. And but what a charming man. I had the distinct honor of being in his presence at 3 different parties. It was at the same someone's house here in town, and he was just so charming, and he had a great sense of humor because he only came up to my knees. I mean, he was such a small, and he would make a lot of jokes, and so it was just wonderful to be in that presence and to go, you're a legend, and here you're laughing and making fun with me, so that we can laugh, and it was just amazing. So
that's one of the great things about Vegas, though, that only us locals really know, that it's a small town. If you really think about it.
Exactly.
And we will run around. It's so funny because Jim and I do such completely different things, and yet we are always running into the same people.
Yeah.
And it's a small town, and so you'll know a guy who knows a guy, and then like, oh, wait a minute, that's the same guy that did the thing, and I'm surprised there's not a lot more collaboration going on in Vegas, but it's also so spread out that everybody can have their little niche, their venue, their place, and that's constantly changing too. I mean, there's been a lot of changes just in the year we've been gone. There's what closed down, it was the one where Elvis sang before. It's completely different now, and he usually knows all these off the top of his head.
He mostly performed at the he did perform at the
something else, and then
it's
and now the Sands is back, right? They unsanded and then resanded. I mean, there's all kinds of weird things.
Yeah, they're changing some of the names of the hotels. They've been doing that for a long time now.
Have you seen a Raiders game yet? Because they weren't there yet.
I have not. I was asked to if I was interested in singing the national anthem.
Do it.
I don't. And it's not patriotic. It has nothing to do with that. It's one, all the pressure that they put on the person who's singing, and two, I sang the last time I sang the national anthem at a big outdoor event. I got a gust of wind. I mean, it was a very small gust of wind, but I got a gust of wind, and like some dirt or something fell into my throat as I was it cut me out. I went, I'm not doing this ever again.
You were traumatized.
I'm paranoid now. So when someone says, "Hey, you want to sing for that?" they're like, "It's an honor." I'm like, "You're right, it is an honor."
Yeah, it is. It is.
Very patriotic, but I don't do it. That's the only thing I won't do.
Yeah, I was traumatized by the national anthem once too. I was supposed to do it a cappella. Of course, you practice it in the range that best fits your voice. And I get there, there's like 8,000 people, and this was in Washington State, and you're on these fairgrounds at the University of Washington. The governor is there, all the thousands of people and risers of people, and I get there and they're like, oh yeah, we've got the Air Force marching band, and they're gonna do it in B. I'm like, okay, but I'm not gonna do it in B. It's like, remember that fifth you like to hit? Not so much today. Yeah. So I was traumatized too. I feel your pain.
Yeah. Yes. No, I feel bad, but I always have to explain to people that it has nothing to do with not wanting to be.
No, I think that's part of being an incredible artist on your part is you know your limitations, and you know where you fit, and you know what works best for you, and a lot of
do
times,
it well.
Yeah.
I mean, you work at it.
Work at it. Gregarious and dare I say flamboyant. People who are willing to do the comedy and the music and all of that they struggle with saying no.
Yes.
So that's actually kind of refreshing that you don't let your ego get in the way.
No.
And you understand sometimes it might disappoint people, but at the same time, you also know your limitations and what you can and are willing to do. And that's actually really refreshing, especially, for folks our age that we grew up where we want to please everybody all the time. So you've got those boundaries, and it works for you. I mean, you're always in a good mood. You always have a beautiful, bright smile. You seem to really enjoy life. And I think that's part of it are those boundaries. So good on you for doing that for yourself.
Very much. I appreciate it. I always say that I don't have time for an ego because the ego is the thing that gets in the way. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised that people still are not tired of me. They still come out to see me, and so I'm grateful. I'm more thankful to the people that come out to see me and enjoy me than expected. I'm just very, 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 very grateful, and I am very happy, and I enjoy life, and I enjoy the process of life, and the ups and downs, and the horrifics, and the
horrifics, and terrifics.
Yeah.
That sounds like the title of a book.
Yeah, that was my book.
Or the title of an album, anyway.
Yeah, I might steal that. If you don't write that book, I might steal that title. Terrifics and horrifics. Well, Tony, believe it or not, we've been talking for darn near an hour, and I want to make sure that everybody knows your show, when it starts, where it's at, and that they need to go to Tony Arias, TonyArias.com to find you. So tell us all about your show.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. The show, again, it's on September 10th. It's Saturday, September 10th.
It's a one-off?
It's just a one-off. It's just a one-off.
This is a big one, so don't miss it.
It's and it is reserved seating. They can purchase the tickets at TonyArias.com. You can purchase all the tickets from any show that I do from TonyArias.com. And from TonyArias.com, you can also sign up for my email blasts, which go out every week. And just add your email address, and you'll receive an email newsletter every week as to what's going on with me and where I'll be next. But the show, again, the tribute of the century to Elvis, Englebert, and Tom. Thanks for everything, Tony Arias. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of energy. I speak with the audience. I enjoy engaging with the audience, and because we're not worrying about distancing as much, I can do one of my favorite things in the world, and that is I love going out to the audience and singing and shaking hands and kissing babies and fondling or whatever.
Fondling.
I really enjoy that.
I think I fondled you once.
I'm sure, and I don't mind. But I figure you paid for it, so you're more than welcome.
Coppa Phil, you earned it.
But I have more shows coming up. I have a Broadway show here in Las Vegas coming up in November, again with Keith Thompson conducting and the Keith Thompson Orchestra. Keith Thompson and I will be at the Sterling Club Friday, September 23rd, and that's just where it's just him and I. And, we have a set list of 3 songs. Then after that, it's whatever happens for 2 hours.
Okay, now that's a show you definitely want to see.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things coming up, and I'm very, very excited. But everybody can go to TonyArias.com and find out everything, and say hi to me from there as well. You can email me from TonyArias.com. And
very cool.
I always answer to everybody. But I thank you, the two of you, so very much for asking me, for inviting me, for having me.
Oh, you're always so much fun, Tony.
Yeah.
You are timeless. I think that you're one of those people that will never retire. You'll just drop dead mid-song on stage. Yeah.
I've always said that's how I want to go. I want to finish on a big note on the stage and just collapse. And I want the audience to just watch me go, he's amazing.
That was fabulous.
Yeah, my God.
He really did leave it all on the stage.
And then maybe do that thing like the Jedis do where you just kind of melt and you're gone.
That's all I want. Brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. No golden caskets, just dust in the wind. Well, Tony, it's been such a pleasure. We'll make sure we put all of those links up on the website. I will send you an email so we can get your mugshot up as well.
Sure.
And in the most fabulous sequence that you have on hand, of course.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and I can't wait to talk to you again. We need to make this an annual thing at the very least, if not more often.
And thank you guys again. Thank you so very much, and enjoy the time on the farm. And good. I actually have family from there.
Yeah.
Tyler, Texas, and all of that area. I actually have family from that area.
Well, if you're ever deep in Harda, you let us know, and we'll meet up for dinner or something.
Right on. That sounds great. Thank you, guys.
We love you.
We love you, Tony. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.